This playable 2D game was built with Fable 5, and at this point, Fable 5 can build almost anything if you give it the right structure. Websites, interactive experiences, creative tools, prototypes, and even browser-based games like this. But this video is not going to be just a quick game demo where I show the final result and say, Fable 5 built this. I want to go through the actual workflow step by step. We will start with the idea, then structure the instructions properly, generate the media assets we need for the visual side of the game, review those assets, and only after that move into the actual build. The important part here is not only that Fable 5 can write the code, the important part is how we guide it. Because if the instructions are too vague, the model wastes a lot of context, makes unnecessary decisions, and usually burns more tokens than needed. But if we split the workflow into clear phases, research, planning, asset generation, approval, and then coding, we can get a much cleaner result, much faster with fewer corrections. So in this video, I'll show you how I used Fable 5 as the main builder and Higsfield MCP for the media generation layer for the game visuals. The game itself was built in Fable 5, but the visual assets, the character, enemies, environment pieces, backgrounds, collectibles, and UI elements were generated with Higsfield. And I did not generate them manually from the Higsfield website one by one. Instead, I connected Higsfield directly to Claude Code through MCP, so Fable 5 could request the assets, organize them inside the project folder, and then use them while building the game. That is what makes this workflow more practical. We are not just jumping between separate tools and downloading random files. The AI is helping structure the whole production pipeline. For anyone who has not used Higsfield before, Higsfield is a creative platform for generating and working with media. You can use it for images, videos, product visuals, cinematic clips, marketing assets, campaign creatives, and different types of visual content that creators need for real projects. So instead of using one tool for images, another tool for video, another tool for editing, and then manually moving everything into your project, Higsfield gives you a single creative platform where you can generate the media assets you need. But in this video, the more interesting part is not only Higsfield itself, it's Higsfield MCP. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. The simple way to think about it is this. MCP gives an AI model a controlled way to connect with external tools. Normally, Claude can write code, create prompts, plan the project, and tell you what to do next. But with MCP connected, Claude can actually communicate with tools inside the workflow. In this case, Fable 5 can connect to Higsfield, request media generations, use Nano Banana Pro for game assets, organize the generated files, and then continue building the game with those files already inside the project. Inside Higsfield, we open the MCP and CLI section. This is where Higsfield shows the different ways we can connect the platform to external AI workflows. Here we can see the available options for Claude and other agent-style workflows. For this video, I am using Claude because the final game will be built inside Claude Code with Fable 5. The setup is simple. First, Higsfield gives us the MCP URL. We copy that URL, then open the Claude desktop app. Inside Claude, we go to Customize, then Connectors. From there, we click the plus button, choose Add Custom Connector, and give the connector a clear name. I'll just call it Higsfield. After that, we paste the MCP URL from Higsfield into the connector field and click Add. Claude then asks us to connect and authorize the Higsfield account. Once that authorization is complete, Higsfield becomes available directly inside Claude. From that point on, Fable 5 can use Higsfield during the workflow instead of me manually generating every character, enemy, background, tile, and UI asset from the web interface. Before we move into the main game prompt, I want to quickly test if the Higsfield MCP connection is working properly. For this test, I'll stay inside Claude Chat and ask Claude to generate one simple image through Higgsfield using Nano Banana Pro. This is not part of the final game yet, it is just a quick check to make sure Claude can actually call Higgsfield through MCP and start the image generation process. If everything is connected correctly, I should see the generation happen directly inside Claude without opening the Higgsfield website manually. And now the image is generated right here in the chat, so we know the connection works. Now that the connector is ready, we can move into the actual game workflow. And the first thing I want to do is not ask Fable 5 to immediately build the full game. Of course, Fable 5 is a very strong model, and if I simply tell it, build me a game, it will probably create something playable pretty quickly. But the problem is that the result might not follow the exact structure I want. The visuals might be generic, the levels might not be planned properly, and later I may need to spend more time fixing the game, changing assets, and adjusting mechanics. So instead of rushing straight into the build, I want to guide Fable 5 through a proper production workflow. The prompt is structured in phases, and each phase has a very specific job. This is important because I do not want the model to solve everything at once. I want it to move through the project like a real production pipeline. At the beginning of the prompt, I define the role clearly. I tell Fable 5 to act as a game developer, researcher, creative director, and project builder. This gives the model the right context from the start. It should not only write code, it should understand the game idea, plan the structure, think about the visuals, and manage the whole project. Then I define the main goal. We are building a browser-based 2D platformer with 3 playable levels. I also specify the technical direction, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Canvas, because I want the final game to stay lightweight, easy to run, and easy to explain in the video. After that, the prompt asks Fable 5 to research the structure of classic 2D platformers. This includes movement, jump physics, side-scrolling camera behavior, enemies, collectibles, power-ups, HUD, level progression, and difficulty curve. So before it builds anything, it first understands what makes this type of game work. Then the prompt moves into planning. Fable has to create the game concept, design 3 levels, and prepare the asset list. This is where the workflow becomes more controlled, because the visuals are not random. Every character, enemy, background, tile, collectible, and UI element is planned before we generate the media. Only after that does Fable 5 use Higsfield MCP and Nano Banana Pro to generate the game assets. And this is where the approval step matters. Once the media is generated, Fable has to stop and let me review the assets first. If the style is good, I approve it. If something is wrong, we fix the visuals before writing the full game code. After approval, Fable can finally move into the actual build. Player movement, gravity, collisions, enemies, collectibles, levels, HUD, game states, and final testing. This is the main difference between a quick AI generation and a real agentic workflow. We are not just asking for an output, we are building the process around the output. And of course, I will include the full prompt in the video description, so you can copy it, adjust it for your own game idea, and use the same workflow with Fable 5 and Higsfield MCP. Now, we can move into Claude Code, where I already have the working folder selected. At this stage, the folder is completely empty, which is exactly what I want. I want Fable 5 to create the structure from scratch, so we can clearly see how it organizes the documentation, assets, and game files. I also have Fable 5 selected as the model, so now I will paste the full prompt into Claude Code and run it. Now Fable 5 has finished the first generation phase through Higsfield MCP, so let's quickly check what we have inside the project folder. At this stage, we have 3 main folders: Assets, Docs, and Game. Fable separated the workflow into planning, media, and implementation. The Assets folder is where all the generated visuals should live. This is the folder that contains the media created through Higsfield MCP and Nano Banana Pro. Things like the character, enemies, collectibles, backgrounds, tiles, UI elements, and any other visual pieces the game needs. The Docs folder is for the planning side of the project. This is where Fable keeps all the documents that explain how the game should work before before it starts building the final version. The first file is assetplan.md. This file defines every visual asset the game needs: the main character, enemies, collectibles, power-ups, tiles, backgrounds, UI elements, and effects. It also gives Fable a clear checklist so asset generation does not become random and the media stays connected to the actual game design. Then we have gameconcept.md. This document defines the core idea of the game: the title, the main character, the world, the visual style, the mechanics, and the overall player goal. So before Fable writes code, it already has a clear creative direction for what the game is supposed to be. The generated asset review.md is where Fable reviews the assets created through Higgsfield. It checks which assets are ready, which ones may need regeneration, and whether the visual style is consistent enough to continue. The level design.md is one of the most important planning documents. It defines the 3 levels, their themes, difficulty, enemy placement logic, collectible placement, hazards, and level endings, so the final game is not just one random platformer map. And finally, we have researchreport.md. This is where Fable summarizes the research into classic 2D platformer structure: movement, jump physics, camera behavior, enemies, collectibles, power-ups, HUD, and progression. This gives the whole project a stronger foundation before we move into implementation. I like having this docs folder because it makes the workflow easier to follow. Instead of asking Fable to jump straight into code, we can see the thinking, planning, asset strategy, and review process before the actual game build starts. And then we have the game folder. This is where the actual playable version will be created. So once we approve the generated media, Fable can use the assets and planning documents, then build the final browser-based game inside this folder. Inside the assets folder, we have the main asset categories for the game. Let's start with the backgrounds. Here we have 3 generated background files, so visually the game already has different environment directions for multiple level types: a bright outdoor meadow, a darker cavern area, and a more intense fortress-style background for the later level. Now let's open the characters folder. Here we have the main character sprite sheet called Rusty Sheet. The character is a small red panda mechanic with goggles, overalls, gloves, and multiple poses for gameplay. We have idle, running, jumping, falling or damage style poses, and a victory pose. So Fable has enough visual states to use this character inside the actual game. Next, inside collectibles, we have a collectible sheet with small gameplay items like coins, a sun-like bonus collectible, and a small flag or completion style object. Inside effects, we have decor and effects sheets. These include small visual details like grass, clouds, blocks, stars, sparkles, bubbles, and small environmental objects. Now let's check the enemies folder. Here, Fable generated 3 enemy sheets: Buzzbow, Clanker, and Peblin, so we have different enemy types instead of one repeated enemy. Buzzbow looks more like a flying or hovering enemy, Clanker has a mechanical robot-style design, and Peblin looks like a small ground enemy that can work well for basic patrol behavior. So overall, the main visual package for the game is ready. We have the core character, enemies, collectibles, effects, level backgrounds, plus the remaining asset groups like power-ups, raw generations, tile sets, and UI. This gives Fable enough media to move from the planning stage into the actual playable game build. At this point, the generated assets look good enough to continue, so now I can confirm the asset generation and tell Fable 5 to move into the next phase, building the actual playable game.
Fable 5 has now finished building the game, so let's open the result and test it properly. I already have the project open in VS Code, and from here I can run the local version in the browser. The game starts with the Star Cog Rush title screen. Now we start the first level. The character moves forward, jumps across the level, and right away we can see that the platformer controls are working. We have the outdoor background, the ground tiles, pipes, blocks, and collectibles. Here we can also see the first enemy coming toward us. If we jump on top of the enemy, we can defeat it, which is exactly the kind of classic platformer interaction I wanted from this test. After that, we pick up an apple power-up and the character grows in size. This is a small detail, but it makes the game feel much more complete because we are not only running and jumping, we already have power-up logic, player state changes, and visual feedback inside the game. Once I make a mistake and die, the game properly resets and starts me again. That means Fable also handled the basic game state logic: damage, lives, death, restart, and replay flow. Now let's try to finish the first level and see if the level progression works. So here we pass the first level, which means the game successfully transitions into the next stage. Now we are in the second level, and you can immediately see that the environment is different. The bright meadow is replaced with a darker cave-style atmosphere, and the level itself already feels a little more challenging. This is important because it shows that Fable did not just duplicate the same map 3 times. It actually followed the level planning and created progression between environments. For a first attempt, this is a really impressive result. The game is basically running without major issues. The controls work, the enemies work, the power-up works, the HUD is visible, the level transition works, and the overall experience feels like a real playable prototype. Of course, we can keep developing this much further. Right now, we only have 3 levels, but we could add more levels, increase the difficulty, create new enemies, add boss fights, improve animations, refine the physics, add sound effects, and make the whole game feel more polished. But the important point is this: Fable 5 was able to produce this kind of result in one structured workflow. It planned the project, generated the assets through Higsfield MCP, created the code, connected the visuals, and gave us a playable browser game that actually works. And this is also where Higsfield MCP becomes very practical. I did not need to constantly jump between different platforms, manually download every asset, rename files, and move them into the project. The media generation happened directly inside the Claude workflow, and the assets were organized into the project folders where Fable could use them immediately. So overall, I'm very happy with this result. I'll also include the Higsfield links in the video description, so you can try the platform, connect to the MCP server, and follow the same kind of workflow inside Claude. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll include the full prompt in the video description. You can copy it, modify the theme, change the character, add your own level ideas, and use the same workflow to build a different type of game with Fable 5 and Higsfield MCP. If you found this video useful, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what type of game you want me to build next with AI. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.